What's up, guys? Today we're talking about flat rate and why I feel like it is the biggest joke in the automotive industry, and I think it needs to change. Now, I'm sure there's probably some people out there that probably disagree with me, and there's probably some people that do agree with me. Now, I'm just speaking off purely my experience and over the 15 years of being an automotive technician and how flat rate went for me. Now, I would say about 10 years I was flat rate, and then there was the other 5 years before I started working for myself, I worked another system. And I can tell you what, that pay scale, that pay system was by far the best way to ever get paid. Now, flat rate used to work. It no longer does. Now, for the ones that don't know what flat rate is, very fast. Now, say you're doing a brake job and it pays you 2 hours to do this brake job. They don't really pay that much anymore. But anyhow, say it pays 2 hours to do this brake job. It takes you an hour to do it, you get paid 2 hours. If it takes you 4 hours, you still only get paid that 2 hours. So there's a set time on what you get paid for each job. Say tires, you get paid 2 hours. If you take 10 hours to do your tires, you only get paid 2 hours. If you do it in 30 minutes, you get paid 2 hours. So in theory, it sounds like it can be a really good system, but that does not account for all the rust, corrosion, or any other factors that can cause you to take a lot longer on doing your job. Now, so that's just flat rate in a nutshell. I'm not diving deep into it. I feel like most of you probably know what flat rate is if you clicked on this video, but if not, that's a little bit of a description on how it pays you. Anyhow, the reason why I feel like flat rate needs to change and why it's such a big joke is I've seen it turn good technicians into horrible technicians. And I've seen it completely ruin some new guys. And I don't think that's fair. So the reason why I'm saying that is flat rate rewards being fast. It does not reward doing the job the right way. It wants you to rush, and you miss a lot of things. Or you skip things because you're trying to beat this time and you just want to make money. You want to be able to support your family. You want to be able to have a good paycheck. So you're doing everything you can to make this money. And I would say half the time your shop's probably not even have enough work. So you're doing everything you can to make as much money as you can because half the time your shop probably doesn't have work. So let's just say you're rushing jobs. A lot of these technicians are rushing jobs. Off my experience, I've seen so many times people forget to pump the brakes after doing a brake job. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it and how much damage I've seen it do in a shop. Let's just say the last shop I was at, we hired this new guy. He come in super early, pumped to work, and he's just rushing around. He was just doing a brake job. Completely forgot to pump the brakes. It wasn't even starting. He come in so early, it wasn't even starting time. By the time he wrecked his car and made a big ordeal out of it. It was wild. Anyhow, he didn't pump the brakes. I'm in the bay behind him. He floors it. I don't know what he was doing, but he floors his car. It comes barreling out of his bay and smashes in the car right beside me and caused over $7,000 in damage between the two cars that he wrecked. All because he's just trying to beat the time. He wants to make good money and he's rushing around. I kind of felt bad for him because he just started. That was his first day there. And he was just trying to make good money and he started rushing around. I've seen a person pull a vehicle in, doing a transmission shift cable, kept the vehicle running because he was rushing around. Kept the vehicle running. Pulled the transmission shift cable off, bumped the shifter, put it in drive. He was in front of it. There's a table, pins him up against the table, smashes the table. It was just a huge ordeal. And the crazy thing is, the guy did it not once, but twice. There was another time He was working in a bay this of another technician. The one technician just got a new box, and he did it again and smashed the guy's new box that he just got because he's just rushing around, doesn't care to take the time because all he's trying to do is beat the clock to make money. And he just costing the shop money because you're trying to beat the time, and he's making big mistakes. Now, I can't say I've never made a mistake because when I first started out and when I went flat rate, I was just doing a simple PDI, but I had tons of them. So I was rushing them in the shop, rushing them out of the shop. I had to take the tires off because I was adding something on, and I forgot I didn't torque the wheel. That was the first and last time that I'd never used a torque wrench. Prior to that, I would just pop them on there and then ship them. That's what I did. Popped it on there. We had a detailer take it down to get gas in it, and the wheel fell off. So after that was like my first year being a flat rate mechanic. I learned very fast that I gotta slow down and take my time because I can't have that happen. It can cause a lot of problems. I don't want anyone getting hurt. I want my work to go out the door proper, and I don't want it coming back because comebacks cost you money too. You might be fast getting things out the door, but you got to think about it. If you have vehicles coming back, you're not going to pay for that time when they're coming back. They're not going to pay you because you made a mistake. So just don't make mistakes. Take your time. Get stuff out the door the right way. I know a lot of people, they might have to learn at their own pace, and some of you might go into it rushing around, and eventually you're going to learn. You're going to learn that you got to slow down. Take your time. Do it right. That's the best thing. What we're trying to do is help somebody out, get their car fixed, have it safe. You're not trying to scam people out of things. So anyhow, just rushing around doing these jobs, it's outrageous. It's also breeding bad technicians because most of the time the technicians don't want to take the time to diagnose something because you're not getting paid to do it. You don't know how many times I went in to have to diagnose something, and I go up to my service writer and tell him, like, look, I'm at my hour. We need to get some more diagnosis. This is what I did, and this is what I need to look into. I need more time. You don't know how many times he said, oh, yeah, not a problem. I'll get you more time. Yeah, he'll get you more time. Never happens. So you'll spend another hour, maybe 2 hours on it, and you don't get paid. I've had vehicles where I was fishing down wiring problems, and I probably had a couple hours into it, and I didn't get paid. And service writer's like, oh yeah, I'll get you more time. Doesn't happen. So you know what technicians do? They just start throwing things at stuff because the service writer don't want to help you out, don't want to make sure you get paid. So why would the technician want to sit there and diagnose something when you're going to screw it over like that? So they're just going to start throwing stuff at it. For an example, there was a technician that I worked with, ASE Master Certified, been wrenching for 30 years. He made a huge mistake and decided to just throw a transmission at this vehicle. That transmission didn't work. So he put another transmission in it. That one didn't work. So he put another one in it. Because he didn't want to take the time. And he's just like, oh, it has to be the transmission. Has to be the transmission. Put the third transmission in it. Didn't fix it. And guess what? He called off sick the next day. So the next person had to take a look at the vehicle and why it wasn't moving. I pushed it into my bay, put it up on the lift. Guess what? Bad CV shaft. Bad CV shaft. He didn't want to take the time to diagnose something because how many times he probably got screwed over in that 30 years because he's tried to get more time for diagnosis. So now it just beat him down so bad over the years to where he's just starting to throw stuff at vehicles. And that's why I just feel like it's breeding such a bad technician. It's not because you want to screw people over. It's not because you want a bunch of comebacks. It's just you want to make money. You go to work to make money to support your family. So the dealership puts you in a bad position on how you're getting paid. So sometimes you just get lost and you start doing crappy work, not because you want to, not because you're a bad technician. They start to force your hand. I can tell you that's why I got out of the flat rate industry. Um, I I felt it. I really felt how much I was getting screwed over, and the hate for it really started pushing me out the door. I think the first 5 years I was in it, I felt all right, and then the last 5 years I was in the flat rate industry. Every day I walked in the doors, I wanted to quit. I was tired of it, but I didn't think there was a way out, and I can tell you there definitely is a way out. Just because that's all you know, and that's all that's all you ever done. There's other shops that do pay differently. There's fleet, there's heavy equipment, there's all kinds of other places that pay a different way. But we're not getting into that yet. Also, being flat rate, there's a lot of people that like gravy work. And there's a lot of people that like to avoid getting any other kind of work. So the ones that are, higher up in the shop, they're not hiding from work. So you got these technicians that are hiding in the bathroom, hiding in the tool truck, whatever the case may be. And the technicians that are usually higher up that, get screwed over with all the more complicated work because that's where it goes to. Well, guess what? The work they're hiding from ends up going to these technicians because your service writer or your service manager just don't want to go looking for you. They're like, well, when the brake job or the oil change comes about, we'll go ahead and hand it off to the guy that's hiding in the bathroom. So the more you know, the more you get screwed over, and that's just how it works with the flat rate. Warranty work. Oh my gosh. You get screwed over so bad doing warranty work. I would say whatever book calls, you probably get paid half of that, or maybe a quarter of that for the warranty job that you're doing. So say if an engine pays 12 hours, you're getting paid 6. You're lucky getting to get paid 6. But what that does is the mechanics are trying to cut corners after that, causing really bad work. I've seen it so many times where there's some type of warranty job of some sort, and there's a fix for it where you gotta zip tie this and put felt on it and this and that, one of those goofy warranty things. Half the time I see everyone throw him away and just say he does the job. That's not good. You definitely need to make sure you're doing the work regardless on how you're getting paid. It definitely really sucks. Try to make up your time somewhere else. Because what if something happens and then it comes back on you because you said you did the job and they look and you didn't. But it's unfortunate. I've seen people do that. So a lot of times they say they did the warranty work and they don't. So warranty needs to be fixed. That warranty work needs to be whatever book time is, that's what they're paying you. They shouldn't have the right to cut down your warranty time, to cut down the time to fit their whatever the case may be. Okay, get away from a little bit of the how it breeds back technicians. Now I'm not saying I'm not saying I want to be a bad technician, you want to be a bad technician. We're there to try to help out a customer, make sure the vehicle's safe, and it's done the right way the first time and out the door, and we can support our family. That's what the whole thing's all about. So it's not like we want to screw the customer over or anything like that. But at some point, you still need to be able to support yourself and your family. So something needs to give with this flat rate pay because it can really screw over the technician. and the dealership doesn't care because they're making money. But also, let's get into a little bit of this. Service writers and service managers. You got to have good ones. If you don't have a good service writer, you're going to get screwed. They're not going to do their job right. They're not going to help you make money. You need a good service writer to be able to make good money. And you have no idea how many times I've had a very crappy service writer. A very crappy service writer. And it caused me to not make a lot of money. And at the end of the day, I'll go up there and stand there and make sure they're telling the customer what they need to tell the customer before I would walk back to the vehicle. You shouldn't have to do that. So if you don't have a good service writer, a good service manager, it makes it really hard for a flat rate technician to make good money. And another thing with that is sometimes those service writers and service managers get favorites. And you see it a lot. If the shop is super slow, you'll see one guy in the shop constantly busy. That's the favorite. You make that one, you make your favorite mad and he threatens that he's going to leave. Then he just feeds him more work. So that is another big thing. We can't have that in the shop either. Everybody needs to make money to survive. So if you don't have enough work in the shop, maybe you shouldn't have as many technicians. And that kind of leads into a lot of these shops have 20 racks and they want a guy in every rack. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. Every shop that I went to where they tried to fill the rack, there was never enough work for all those racks. But when I had 2 racks in a flat and we had a lot of work, man, was I able to crank out some work. So, I don't know. They still made really good money, but I don't like the concept of filling every rack because majority of the time, they don't have the kind of work to feed all those mouths that are working in those racks. And then to go along with that, majority of the places that pay flat rate are the dealership. And majority of the time, every dealership that I worked at, they have horrible benefits. So I would say the cheapest health insurance I had for my family was probably $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month for the cheapest health insurance that I had at a dealership for my family. Now, what happens when I'm not making that much money and I got $1,200 a month on health insurance, and then I have about $500 a month that I'm paying on tools? I know you might say that's crazy, whatever, but if you want to be good and you want to keep evolving, tools make you faster. And I have learned over the years that you don't need the highest quality, but it is nice having them. Anyhow, we're not getting on that topic. That could be a different video. But just say $1,200 a month health insurance. Then you have $500 in tools. So right there, you're at $1,700 just to do your job. And then you have your house payment, you got a car payment, you got all your utilities. And then no work in the shop for a week. And all they're doing is giving you oil changes after oil changes. And they expect you to sit at the shop. It doesn't happen that way. You know, I'll sit around for a couple hours. I'll sit around for probably 2 hours. I don't have any work. Guess what? I can go find some work at home. Unfortunately, that's the way it has to be. Because you're not making money. You cannot sit there. They're not paying you to go clean the shop. So they're going to tell you to go clean the shop. But you're not getting paid. You got to be a good employee, right? Obviously. But the problem is, you also got to pay me. We cannot do all this stuff for free. If you want me to clean the shop, flag me some flat rate time. Pay me an extra 5 hours for that day. I'll go clean the shop. I don't care. I just want to make money. If you don't have work for me, Give me something else to do and pay me to do it, and I'll stay at the shop. But look, all of us technicians, every one of us that are good at doing our job, you can make money anywhere. In your driveway, in your driveway, in your garage, doing mobile stuff. If you're good at it, you can keep yourself afloat if your shop doesn't have work for you to do at the time. So you're not going to just sit around and do nothing while you're feeding your favorite technician. It just doesn't work that way. But anyhow, super favoritism. Every dealership I've worked at, there's always that one guy that's getting fed no matter what, that's making $100,000+ a year no matter what. It just happens. I've got paid 2 other ways since I've been out of the flat rate industry. The first way was just hourly. I actually worked at a fleet shop, working on tractor trailers, and I can tell you one thing. Although the benefits were good, the money wasn't the greatest. Just because the hourly, it just didn't pay for your experience and your tools. So for me, it didn't work. But it did have decent benefits. Now, the other way that I got paid was I got a hourly pay plus a commission. So I made a really good hourly wage, and then I got a 6% commission on labor and parts. So you can make really good money, and then at the end of the year, if you hit their quota for the year, whatever it was, you can make an extra $5,000 at the end of the year, which was really neat. I really liked that scale. It worked really well. Unfortunately, that company was bought out and they changed things. So it kind of ruined that. But that was the best way to get paid because it gave the technician security, which if you have a family, you need to know you're getting paid. It really helps. But it also helps out the shop also because it gives them an incentive to work harder. Because if you're just paid hourly, you just take your time. When you get done, you get done. But you're like, hey, if I can crank out some more jobs because I'm making more money, you're going to do it. I mean, I did. I was making good hourly wage, plus I'm getting a good commission at the end of the month too. So I really feel like that's a great way to pay the technician, and it's a good way to keep the technician from just lollygagging. And, I understand the flat rate system is to make sure people aren't standing around getting things done, but I think the hourly with the commission is a great for both sides. Keeps the technician hungry to get stuff done, and it gives the technician security to make sure they know they are making a paycheck. But anyhow, that is my rant on flat rate. It is a huge joke, and I really feel like as technicians, we need to come together and try to get this changed because it's not looking too bright for the future. And I really feel like a lot of technicians are getting out of the industry. I have a lot of buddies I used to wrench with, and majority of them are no longer wrenching either. So, I always thought if you can come together in your shop, you can make a change. But it's always a split inside the shop. There's always guys that want to make that leap, and there's guys that are just, oh, nope, we can't do it. We can't do it. You guys just need to come together, put your foot down, and be like, this is how we're doing it. You want to lose us all? Go for it. You guys can make money elsewhere. It's something needs to change. Everyone needs to come together and make a change. It just blows my mind on how we just get pushed over like that. We gotta make a stand, and we have to make a change so everybody that's in this industry can make a fair wage and support their family. Anyhow, that is all I got, guys. Leave a comment. I know not everyone's gonna agree with me, which is okay. This is my experience. Whatever your experience might be way different than mine. So it's all right. I mean, if you guys don't agree, you don't agree. If you agree, great. I want to hear both sides. Leave comments if you agree. If you disagree, just leave comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. You guys take it easy.